Hello everyone, this is Paul from Lone Wolf Media. I know it's been about 2 years since I last made a video, and part of that was because I just wanted to stay away from speculation about how the final season of Game of Thrones turned out, and well, after seeing how the series ended, I kind of need to put my tinfoil hat on once more and offer my thoughts. This video isn't really going to be a rant, this is a conclusion that I've thought out over the past few weeks. Game of Thrones Season 8 was a massive disappointment to fans, and even members of the cast found it mind-boggling. After Season 7 received much criticism for writing that seemed to just ignore logistics, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss could not have written a worse season. One that proves their success earlier in the series was due to having George R. R. Martin's books as source material. I could go on and on for hours about how horrible the writing of this past season was. While I honestly think that the destruction of House Reign of Castamere, which we only heard about in the show, was written better than the entire series finale, this isn't what I'm here to talk to you about today. The purpose of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire is to examine power realistically, and the conclusion of the series stumbles right by the realism of the newly formed elected monarchy. Westeros is absolutely screwed by this new power structure. My first reaction when I heard the Dragon Pit Council say that from now on, rulers would be elected by the major houses of Westeros was, wow, that's as stupid as it is idealistic. The characters, of course, think this is a brilliant idea. However, I quote Ramsay Bolton when I say, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Even a casual fan of the show who's followed the events of every season knows that all it takes would be one ambitious and power-hungry person to subvert this entire new system by electing the ruler through bribery, fear, or sheer power. I'm not going to give D&D credit for this one. As I said before, they stumbled right by it. And this seems more like a George Martin idea to me. I won't even call this a silver lining, but it's the one bit of consolation I could come up with, since it lives up to the realism of the show. It makes sense for the good characters to win for once and rebuild the world in their vision, but breaking the wheel, as Tyrion put it, is still a dream. While this new system of electing the king seems rational, when you think about it, it's built to fail down the line, given how vulnerable it would be to the cutthroat lords of Westeros who can manipulate the elections for their own purposes. For all the talk that's been made of how the wheel of power was broken in the finale, it's false. Power itself is a wheel and is constantly changing. And these power structures of hereditary monarchies and now elected monarchies are just spokes on the wheel, and power never changes. It still resides where men believe it resides, and power is still power. We got a crapshoot of the series finale, but ironically, the show still subtly lived up to its core purpose, to examine power. The seduction the Iron Throne cultivated no longer exists, but Westeros had enough trouble before Aegon's conquest. The resolution of the finale will last for a while in the world of Game of Thrones, but sooner or later conflict is bound to arise, and that's how we get a sequel series. But, to wrap things up, after the death of Daenerys and the destruction of the Iron Throne, the characters who survived the worst conflicts in Westerosi history form an elected monarchy. However, it's perfectly natural that flawed characters create a flawed power structure, however enlightened it may be. As viewers, we know it only requires one ambitious person to undermine this entire new process, and that's where the realism of the series sets in. Power can be changed, but it can't be broken. While the characters may view this elected monarchy as a solution to all the problems they've had, their belief in power just resides in a different institution. And given how shaky the system of selecting the new ruler looks, the elected monarchy could become a vicious cycle of its own, generating loads of conflict. While the elected monarchy could work for a while, the just use of power can only continue for so long. So if you think that was a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this video. As I said before, I could go on and on about what things this season should have done differently and how poor the writing was. So if you want my thoughts on that, let me know in the comments. If you ask me, the writing indicated that Jon was going to end up as king of Westeros instead of Bran, but that's a video for another day. Please remember to like and share this video, and as always, thank you for watching.